What's up guys, it's Nap here. So it's been a while now and I do apologise for that. It hasn't been due to a lack of playing the game. I have still been playing pretty much daily and the lack of uploading was not intentional as this video simply took a lot longer than I expected. So as you can see, I did get my elite clues through pickpocketing. Now I'm aware there are faster methods of farming these, but pickpocketing at Prif was my favourite option available as it is relatively AFK, meaning I can do this very consistently over long periods of time without getting burnt out, and for Ironman the loot it provides is simply too good for me to pass up. Now funnily enough, by the time I actually managed to have 500 elite caskets completed, I was around 600k experience until level 120 thieving. So I did finish that off and got my first level 120 skill outside of invention. And with that, I will now be opening the elite caskets, so if you aren't interested or don't have the time to sit through all of that, there is a timestamp in the description where you can skip through the video to after this where we will look at the overall loot and its value.
seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea, into the blue. They change but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through. You came into my life dressed like another season. Not for them, just a time, just like another season. You came into my life dressed like another season. Not for them, just a time, just like another season. The seasons turn and change just like your mind. Like the sun gives into the moon, into the night. Time continues marching, it slowly crawls. With each new one starting, I recall. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. Come my way this season. Forever
messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again, just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Staying up when I go out, you gotta know I'm all yours. But when I say what's that about, you start slurring your words. Tell me why you have to seem so distant when I'm holding you. Your fingertips are drifting away, and I fucking love how it hurts. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling?
Living in the same routine, like the seasons I'm on repeat. It's a long way down. Trying not to follow suit. Don't like the color, I'll change the shade of it. I'm not afraid of it. I know I'm holding on to this, holding on. I know I'm holding on to this, holding on. Don't let me repeat it. Don't let me repeat it. change, but so can you. So can you. For too long about the mistakes, while I resent, I learned to hate. Forgot your names. Fear the struggle to follow on. Need to focus to prove you're wrong. I'm not wrong. I know I'm holding on to this. Holding on. I know I'm holding on to this. Holding on. Don't let me repeat it. Don't let me repeat it. I'm on my own, broken and alone. I feel the rain crashing down all around this empty town. I'm searching for the lost and found, but you don't care, you're unaware. Keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare. Just stare 'cause the flames will burn us. I thought you were the one for me. That's why I gave you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas. Oh, you meant the world to me. I used to kiss your head when you cried for me. Hold your hand while the pain was over. Keep you warm by the roaring sea. Oh, you meant the world to me. point in blaming you, you did not know. Oh. I thought you were the one for me, that's why I give you everything. Held you close by the stormy seas, oh, you meant the world to me. Oh, you meant the world to me. Take what you want from me. I'll give you everything. All that and more you'll see. Just stay right
my god. What? What? Oh my god. What? Oh my god. Fuck.
So there you have it, 500 elite caskets. Now, one issue I've ran into as an Ironman is after each clue scroll I've done in the past, I am simply keeping all of the loot. So any duplicates that I just got from those caskets, instead of being in this front tab to easily see, is now instead in my clue scroll loot tab. But obviously I did want to show everything I got from those caskets at once, so I did go ahead and watch through the casket opening myself, taking note of all of the loot and grand exchange values, and with that information I did put together this spreadsheet. Now, this isn't something I do often, so it's far from perfect, but I will somewhat explain it to make it a bit easier to understand. So the first category is the standard loot. So these categories I did get from the RuneWiki's loot table, splitting them into standard loot, the unique loot gotten from all levels of clues, the common loot, the rare loot, and the very rare loot. So looking at the standard loot, first off we have the coins. So for coins only, I did want to track the amount of times coins actually appeared, as well as the total value I received from getting coins, which was 113 times, totaling 6.37 million coins, which did average at around 56k every time I received coins. Next, there are some of the less valuable things, such as the purple sweets and teleport scrolls. There are various types of teleport scrolls, but I did put them all under the same thing, since which specific teleport didn't seem overly relevant. Next is the God pages. Now I did get quite lucky with these, considering I received 62 God pages in total, and 20 of those were Armadillo pages, which are the most valuable, and as you can see there's no consistency whatsoever with these, receiving 0 Saradomin pages and only 3 Zamorak. Next, more junk items, such as the Gnome Firelighters, God Arrows, and Meerkat pouches and scrolls. Now, the Meerkat pouches are actually quite useful, since they increase the range you have to detect on scan clues, which is really good. And lastly for this category, we do have the Master Clue Scrolls. So in total I received 148 Master Clues, and from 500 elites, that meant I roughly got 1 Master Clue every 3 elite caskets, which is actually really consistent. Now for anyone who actually noticed, I do have 152 Master Clues in my bank after the casket opening. That was actually because I received 4 Master Clues over the course of getting 75 million thieving experience at Prif. So moving on to the common loot, so I have abbreviated a few of these so they fit easier, such as palm tree seeds, grapevine seeds, and super restore potions. Now as a max Ironman who isn't too concerned about pushing an overall ranking, I don't really have use for a lot of these materials, although if you were a mid to high level Ironman who wasn't yet maxed, the materials in general are pretty good. For me personally, I will get the most use out of the potions. Although I don't see myself using over 1,000 anti-fires, I'll definitely use up the prayer and super restore potions. Along with that, there are a few things here I may dismantle, such as the swamp lizards, and also high alchemy things such as the rune plate bodies. Now the rune wiki hasn't been fully updated since the clue scroll update, as things like dwarf and lanternine seed are still on the online loot table, although obviously they were removed due to how low their value is now, so that's why I did include it despite it being obviously removed, just so it doesn't look like I forgot. Now one thing I wasn't too sure about was the tower skip and lockbox skip tickets. These were newly introduced to skip the new master clue puzzles, and you do receive between 1 to 4 at a time from elite caskets. Now at first I thought they may be common, but I realistically only got them around 10 to 25 times each, which was a lot less than everything else that is common, but also more than pretty much everything in the rare category, so that's why I decided to leave them as common, but regardless they aren't really common at all. So all in all, a lot of decent materials, and although I don't see myself using it anytime soon, I certainly won't be getting rid of it. Next we have the rare loot. Now the abbreviations we have are Rune Armor and Dragonhide Armor. Along with that, I did also group together the types of armors, so instead of listing and tallying Bandos Rune Helms, Bandos Rune Plate Bodies, and Bandos Rune Plate Legs, and so on, I did just put them all under the same thing for what they were, if that makes sense. In the same vein, I did clump together all the different dragon armor ornament kits, totaling 10 different items, which is why the amount of them is so high. So most of these items aren't very useful or even cool to wear cosmetically, but on average do still go for around 400k coins each because they do dismantle for fortunate components. Now there were another 2 of these newish items I wasn't too sure about. We have the Elite Reroll token, which allows you to reroll 1 Elite Casket loot, which I did actually use up whilst opening the 500 caskets, and also Guido's Bonfire in a Bottle. So this is a consumable that gives you a bonfire life point boost for 66 minutes, and the boost scales off of your fire making level. So in theory that's pretty decent, though I only received 4 from 500 elite caskets, making them quite rare, so I probably won't be using them very lightly. And lastly, we have the very rare loot. So as you can see, not much at all. Funnily enough, I did manage 5 Robin Hood tights, which will be useful if I can get a golden thread from my master clues to make into tier 82 ranged gear. Along with that, we have the usual very rare, although pretty meh loot such as dragon masks and the god bows. And of course we have the ice die, which I'm still extremely happy about getting. Now the rarity of the die is still not quite clear based on what I could find, although people do speculate it is likely to be a similar rarity to Shadow Die. Although of course if anyone has information about this, feel free to leave that in the comments as I am genuinely interested to find out about that as well. And lastly, we have all 500 grand exchange values from each casket opened. Now obviously it's a lot of information to take in, but there's a few things I definitely noticed whilst putting it together. So rarely was the loot actually worth over 1 million coins, and when it was due to usually getting multiple rare items or Armadale pages. And in general, most of the loot was around 300 to 400k, usually only getting higher if you do manage to actually get rare loot. So the total value of all 500 elite caskets did come out to 1,022,101,071 coins, which averages out to 2,044,202 coins per clue. Now that does seem really good, which technically it is, but the ice die had an extremely high influence on that number, with the ice die having a grand exchange value of 787.7 million coins. So taking the die out of the overall loot, I did actually only manage to get 237,401,071 coins from 500 elite caskets, which then averages out to 474,802 coins, which was actually still a lot better than I expected. Though it does mean without getting lucky, you do have to farm and complete several elite clues per hour to actually make what's considered decent GP per hour these days. So I do think elite clues probably aren't worth doing for money, unless you enjoy them enough to stick to them for a long enough time, however long it may be, until you can actually get lucky. And here we have my updated clue tab, now including all of the elite loot I did receive. So as you can see, it is a bit confusing, but the elite loot does start at the ornament kits and goes all the way through down to the ice die. And of course, with all the pages I received, I now have at least one of every page again, which is nice if I ever do hard enough PVM that I want to actually start illuminating some of my god books. Although I have not yet, as I don't love the idea of burning through my god pages in combat. Now from my previous videos, I had gotten most of the Globetrotter Outfit, which is the clue scroll outfit, bought with treasure trail points, but before starting my 500 elite clues, I decided to finish off the full outfit, buying the Globetrotter gloves and boots. Now previously I didn't realise this, but the Globetrotter boots are extremely useful for elite clues, as upon activation they do give you unlimited run energy for 15 minutes, which helps a ton for some of the tedious scan clues, such as the one at Manifos where you require a lot of running and definitely require some form of run restoration. And the other outfit piece I hadn't previously utilised was the Globetrotter jacket. So this teleports you to the location of your next clue, which sounds somewhat lazy and not that beneficial, but for some scan clues it is amazing. I personally hated I'm not going to try say it, but it's the Elf Forest before Prif, which I always found extremely tedious to navigate, so being able to instantly complete that one every time made elites a lot easier for me. And after completing 500 elites, I had actually managed to accumulate a total of 5,392 treasure trail points. Now, I do want to save some of those points for costume skipping tickets when I complete my master clues, as there are a few I can't do, but I did decide to buy the clue pet, which is a dog. But that's pretty much it for this one. I now plan on completing the 152 master clues I have, so I would like to say expect a video out by late next week, but I always underestimate how long these things will take, so just know that's what I'm doing and it'll come out when it's done. And lastly, for anyone who is getting tired of clue scroll videos, I do apologise for repeating the same thing for a few videos in a row now. I've had a lot of fun doing them since the update, and each video has had really good feedback, which has motivated me to do more. But after spending roughly 6 weeks on the 500 elite caskets, I have more or less got the clue scroll bug out of my system, and I am happy to move on to something else, but of course I feel like I may as well finish off the master clues first, since they're substantially faster to do than elites, and the loot may be pretty cool as well. So that is it for me, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.